What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you my post-ban list BT17 Ancient-GabuBond list. I've had a lot of people asking me what my list looks like, if I'm still going to be playing Bond after the ban list, and if I am, what I am playing. And so I am going to be playing Bond post-ban list. In fact, this list that I'm about to show you, outside of maybe one or two card changes, I will be piloting at the Dallas Card Game Fest, TCG Fest, or whatever it's called. And I might change one or two cards. I'll talk about that in the list, but for the most part, I'm very happy with this list. I think it does very well into the metagame, but with that being said, let's just get on into the list. Alright, so for Digitama, it's pretty much the same as it was before. I didn't change anything. 1 Buka, 4 Wanya. I still think this is the best. Bukamon just jamming is very good with Bond. Being able to not worry about dying in security is pretty big. And then just drawing is really good. A lot of this list, what's changed post-ban list, is that we're just really just playing consistency cards, trying to find all our pieces as much as possible and just really jamming that out. So having the draw one here when you swing is very nice because you can get this activated right away. Pretty much you can go into raising on your first turn, play a blue Tamer, and then start swinging and getting draws every time you attack. So it's very nice. I wouldn't really change it. If you have another egg that you want to play, it should be some sort of resource generator. I wouldn't play anything that's like a DP boost or anything like that. I would just, if it draws you card or if it gains you memory, that's the only thing you really want in your eggs outside of jamming. But the Bukamon's only at 1, so you want your 4 draws. Now, moving on to the rookies, we're going to start off with our Gabumon. We're going to be having the 4 EX1 and 4 BT15. These are the most important ones. They are resource generators. This is good for drawing, whether it's the inheritable or the start of turn. This searches out all your Tamers, which are probably our most important piece in this deck, and so I'd definitely be playing these at 4. They are just way too crucial. And then I have the 3 BT6 Gabumon, the one that allows you to unsuspend Bond of Friendship once again. This is pretty staple. I don't think you need it at 4 just because you are going to Ancient a lot more. We will talk about this Gabumon a little bit more once we get talking about Ancients and Bonds and stuff, but I think this is fine at 3. You could go up to 4 if you wanted, but I am playing 2 of the starter deck 8 Gabumon, which gives you +1 DP. I think this is very nice for a Gabumon. I wouldn't use it for my eggs, like I mentioned, don't do that, but a rookie slot is completely different. It has the Gabumon name, and being able to pump your Bond up to 15 a lot of the times can be pretty good, so that way you're not just dying in security. And we are also playing the old Ancient-GabuBond from BT4, and so being able to bump that up another 1k so that way you don't die in security on your first check is very nice. So you could definitely cut one of these if you wanted to go to 4 Gabumon, but I just really like the versatility of being able to have this. It does come up quite frequently. And then to finish off the rookies, we have the 1 restricted Ukomon. I've been playing 1 Ukomon as just like a flex bot basically since BT16 came out, so this didn't change anything for me. This was just now I don't have to worry about adding more Ukomon because it's down to 1, and I'm not going to play the new Ukomon because it's too slow. So yeah, I've been playing it at 1. It's restricted out of 1, so we're just keeping it there. All right, now moving on into the champions. I am playing a little bit more champions than a lot of the other lists that I've seen, but we will explain that a little bit later. But starting off, we're going to have the 4 Promo Lobomon. Really not much to say here. This is our main way to get into Ancient. Obviously, you can Digicross it with the Lobo and the Kendo, but I really wouldn't recommend doing that with this list, basically ever, unless your opponent is just falling super far behind and you just bounce their 1 stack. Other than that, you pretty much never want to be Digicrossing. I do have it as an option because it does just raise the ceiling of the deck in a way, but for the most part, you want to be going into your Lobo to get into your Ancient, so we are going to be playing this at 4. Then we're going to have the best hybrid, 4 Lanamon. I'm not playing Lobo as a hybrid or anything because with Lanamon and the old Ancient-GabuBond, you can essentially threaten 6 checks in 1 turn. I will explain that once we get to the Ancient. And then we are playing the 1 Kendo for the Digicross purposes. It is also just another hybrid, which is very nice because a lot of the times you are ending this game or ending your games with hybrids anyway, so being able to have extra ones is good. But you can play the Kendo for the Digicross. I think I've only done it once, but it's just not that big of a deal. It's nice to raise the ceiling of the deck, but for the most part, it's really not super good in this deck because you're just paying way too much memory, and you could be doing way more. You could have way more aggression with that memory cost, but it is nice to have just in case, depending on your hands there. There was one hand where I had to Digicross just so that way I could bounce to level 6, and then that way it gave me time to be able to go into raising, promote, and then go into bond. So it is nice to have, but I don't really think it's super crucial. This is probably one of the cards I would consider cutting. I'd probably just cut it for another hybrid that digivolves for 2 instead of one that digivolves for 3. I think that would be the main change, but I think Kendo's fine. I think whether you play this or you play another hybrid, it's really not going to change that much. Alright, now moving on into the rest of the Digimon, we're going to be having our level 6s and higher. So starting off with the BT17 Ancient-GabuBond. This card is obviously very powerful. Bounce when your opponent's lowest level Digimon to their hand. Add the security to their hand, so you're removing and you're dealing damage, and then you can swing, so you're doing like 2 checks right there. On deletion, add a hybrid, play a Tamer. It's just, this card is very good, obviously, but I'm only playing 3. Because I'm playing one of the old Ancient-GabuBond, which this card actually goes way harder than you probably think it does. It might seem a little weird to play this when you have options to this, but it just adds the versatility, and it also adds an OTK to the deck, so I'll explain it. With this specific deck, you're trying to be as aggressive as possible. So if you can Ancient on turn 1, or like on your first promote, then you're going to be looking in a pretty good spot. But if you go first, you put like a Gabumon and a Mat out, let's say, and then your opponent just goes like raising, training, or like Tamer or whatever, it doesn't matter. They don't have a Digimon on the board. Okay, well then this isn't going to help you as much. But if you have this, then you can promote up, go Lobo, go Ancient, swing twice, on deletion, play a Digimon, play a hybrid from your hand, and then you have something that sticks on board, so you can get more damage next turn, or your opponent has to deal with it, whatever. It's just very nice, but also with Ancient and Lanamon, you do technically have a pretty easy to set up OTK if you're playing in a slow matchup. So basically how it goes is Lanamon has jamming when you tuck a blue level 3 underneath, so you'll swing jamming here. Unless you hit an option or something, it's going to survive. Then you have Ancient. When attacking, you want to spend 2 Digimon with Hybrid or Garurumon in their name. So 1, 2 checks, 3 checks right here, again with jamming. And then you can go into Bond on top and go 1, 2. Or if you have the BT6-GabuBond, you go 1, 2, 3. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5, 6. So you're essentially swinging 5 to 6 checks with this combo, and since there's so much memory gain through things like Memory Boost, Trainings, Matt, Louie, Hammer Sparks, Davis, whatever, you have a ton of ways to gain memory, so it's actually very easy to go into it. It's only 5 memory to go 2 here, 2 for Lobo, 1 for Ancient, and so being able to get 5 memory is very easy, being able to set this up. So you can essentially OTK as long as you have the BT6 Gabumon, which a lot of the times you're saving for when you're going to go into Bond anyway, so if you have the cards to set this up, then you will just keep the Gabumon in your hand until you are ready to go for this combo. So it is very nice. I just really like the old Ancient. I was testing it just as like a filler, and it ended up actually being really good, and I will definitely continue playing it. Then we got 3 Bond of Friendship. Always play 3, never play 2, never play 4. And then we have 1 Death X. Death X just a flex spot. You could change this for anything else. I've seen people playing like the Paladin mode and things like that, but I'm not the biggest fan of Paladin mode. I like Death X more. There's a lot of like Tamer heavy decks right now, and so you can play this for super cheap and just threaten damage, and then also it's harder for opponent to stick things on board. But if you want to play Paladin mode or you want to play anything else, you could just play here. I'm playing Death X. It's never done me wrong, and so I want to keep playing it. Now moving on into the Tamers, we're going to start off with the obvious, which is going to be 4 BT6 Mat. Not much to say here. This is a ton of memory gain. This is our way to warp into Bond. It's an auto 4 of. And then we have 2 Davis. These are our only blue Tamers. I like Davis because, again, I'm trying to play consistency cards, so this allows you to search for your Lobomon or your Ancient or your Lana, whatever piece that you're missing. Maybe you want a specific Gabumon, but it also starts you at 3, so it's a lot easier. So, like, if you have Davis 2 Mats, that's your 5 memory for that Lanamon Ancient combo right there. Davis was Sorajo for a bit, but I feel like Sorajo isn't super powerful in this metagame, so I just like Davis a little bit more. It's a memory tamer. What can I say? Then we got 3 Analog, and Analog is insane in this deck because basically every single time you promote, you're going into a level 6 or level 7 that's going to die at the end of the turn, and so you are going to, so like let's say you have the Ancient, you go into Ancient, the BT17 Ancient, go Ancient, you bounce their thing, security to hand, you swing, you choke them to 1. At the end of the turn, it's going to die, so then you can play a Tamer, grab a Hybrid back, but then you can tap Analog, gain the memory, go to 0, hatch, put a Gabumon in Raising, so that way you can threaten Bond next turn. And then also when you play Analog, you just get to search the top 3 for whatever piece that you need, because most of the time you're going to be needing a Digimon more so than like a Tamer. Analog is just super sane in this. I was playing 1 to 2 in previous builds. This one I'm playing 3. I might go to 4. It's actually that good. This card essentially makes it, the sooner you get this out, the sooner that you start attacking every single turn with either an Ancient for 2 or a Bond for 2 to 3. And so you can end the game faster by searching for it and by being able to keep hatching and putting Gabumon in the back. So Analog's insane. And then we have our 1 Louie because it got restricted, sad. This was really the only card that was hit on the ban list that I actually care about. So for a lot of people who said like this deck was going to die because Louie and Uko hit, this is the only card that really matters. It does suck. It does lower the aggression a little bit, but with the new Ancient and with additional analogs, you can essentially match the aggression that you're having with Louis anyway. So we're still playing it as one just because it's a very strong card. Now getting into the rest of the deck, going to be our options. Going to start off with 3 blue memory boost and 2 mental training. These are, again, just consistency cards. Search out the cards that we need, find the Ancient, find the Lobo, find the Bond, whatever we need. Be able to gain memory or reduce our Digivolution cost. That way we have as much memory as possible to be able to get as many checks in with either Bond into our Ancient into Bond or Ancient into hybrids or whatever we need. And then we're going to be playing 2 Lament of Friendship. Obviously, I feel like this card is very good because you can go Ancient and you can play, like, you pass this for turn, the Ancient survives, and you can, like, analog and stuff after it. But I'll be honest, I feel like in a lot of the, like, other loop builds, this card's a lot stronger. In this build, I think it's okay. Like, it definitely helps being able to keep an Ancient on the board so that you can Bond next turn, but you're just trying to kill your opponent as fast as possible. So playing a card that doesn't, like, necessarily immediately represent some sort of damage isn't super, like, amazing, but it's still good enough because you grab a card out of trash. It plays. Like, you're still going to play it. It's just, like, I don't think this card is as crazy in this specific build as maybe other ones, but you should play it anyway. I think it's just, like, you get a level 6 for free that plays a Tamer and gets you a hybrid. Finish it off, we got 1 ofs. 1 Ice Wall. Shout out. 1 Hammer Spark. I wasn't going to play Hammer Spark, and then I was just going to play a 3rd Training, but I just like the gain 2 memories in security. Like, if I could still play 2 Hammer Spark, I would still probably play 2 Hammer Spark, but it's not that big of a deal. But when I was looking at, do I want to play the 1 Hammer Spark or the 3rd Mental Training, I'd rather play the 1 Hammer Spark because it's just way more versatile. It's an offensive card, it's a defensive card, and it's an insane security trigger. So the 1 Hammer Spark is just fine, but that is going to be the list that I will be playing for the Dallas Card Game Fest. So if you have any suggestions, let me know what you think down below. I will catch you all soon. I will see you at Dallas if you're going to be there. Peace.